How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? This is AdRock, and I'm back with another Atlas Reactor video. This time, I'm going to be doing the ranks, the dreaded ranks and tiers of anything with a competitive edge. Oh, sweet lady Jeebus, save us all. The reason I decided to go with a rank video for this one, and a tier list video, whatever you want to call it, either way, I know some of the information's coming out. Some of it is highly accurate, some of it is highly inaccurate. It also will constantly change as the meta evolves and as new champions are showing up. So for those of you that are just coming into the game and are curious about what champions are viable in what situations, keep in mind that this is taken from more of a pug background and occasional organized play. So if you are really big into organized play, you can keep this in mind as some of this stuff will translate, and I'll try and make it obvious where things translate either way. Other than that, have fun. If you do disagree with me, I really want to hear your reasons why, because it'd be kind of great to see, this guy or this character is better here instead. Have you tried doing it this way, this character? This character is just, no, shouldn't be here at all. You suck at your quasi-wannabe job. Ah! And you can nerd rage out. It's kind of funny for everybody. But here we go. Well, first and foremost, let's go into our low rank, our low tier, however you want to call it. I've got 3 characters here, and there's going to be different reasons for each one, and I guarantee you someone's going to disagree with me somewhere in a placement, but here we go. So first off is low rank, and the reason why they're low rank is not mean they're unviable. It just means that they're characters that either will need a lot of love to really shine, or their kits are kind of outclassed by something else or somebody else, or the way that playstyles are currently done. Or, they're just very niche in the way that they operate. First off, Garrison. Okay, here I don't want to spend the entire video on just Garrison, because Garrison has issues. I don't believe that Garrison's energy generation is enough. I mean, 8, 6, 8 seems fine, but then it all adds up to Shock Pod, which is his ultimate, and all it really does is he can spawn it anywhere on the map in this fairly decent sized T cross section, really only doing about mid damage compared to most other ultimates in this game. Something about it just feels off, and all it does is, as a benefit, I guess the reason why they made the damage a little lower than normal is it spawns health power-ups. You know what that really does? It tells the other enemy team, drop all of your AoE here and pick up some free kills. And if Garrison or anybody else survives, they'll get 10, 20, 30 health. Maybe, possibly. It's best just to leave that area alone. It's almost like it's begging you to be hit. He's also not the great at sustain. He needs someone like Helio. He needs Dr. Finn to keep him around. He doesn't really do that well with Quark and Aurora, in my opinion, but that's just me. Moving on, we have Gremlicians Inc. And Gremlicians Inc., I've said in my own general video that he can be really good if you're good at predicting shots, if you're good at getting people to funnel into areas. The problem is he is counterable by so many characters. Up close characters just straight up murder this guy. You have Bombing Run, which is on a 7 turn cooldown, which is really, really long, and I don't think that other characters that can pivot jump like he can, they do it better. Anything he does, other characters can do better. He's really fun to play, but I don't believe he brings much to teams, whether in organized or in pugs, and you really gotta be one of those players that's really patient with Gremlicians Inc. to really enjoy the payoff. And next on the low rank is going to be Oz. And Oz, the reason why I put him on low rank instead of anywhere higher is that he has a really good gimmick and that he can swap abilities, but once you realize what's going on, any character that has a bouncing shot ability or has an AoE, it's just like, okay, cool, I'm just going to wait for you to come over here, and I'm just going to drop an AoE right here. I know you're gonna swap out on a 5-turn cooldown Major Look. You can only do it twice, 3 times a game. He's very predictable in his movements, more so than other characters. Even when he has Catch Me If You Can as his ult, that like works for 3, I don't know. It just feels like it's a really cool idea that works with people who don't anticipate it or don't understand him. After enough time playing, I feel like Oz is a much more manageable case, and in some cases, he's completely just ignorable and focus on other high priority targets. Moving on to the mid-tier. In mid-tier, I didn't want to go A, B, C, D, S rank because it's not, grading system is really dumb. Mid-tier, these are characters that, unlike low-tier, that really need patience and really need a strong team to help back them up. You need to give these guys all the help they can to shine. Mid-tier can be put into quite a bit of compilations, and they can be great on their own, and they need the right parts. Instead of throwing everything at them to help them work and succeed, You can throw just enough, and they can be played by themselves or in a group effectively enough. So first off, I have Quark, which might be the only support I have at mid-tier. The reason why is Quark has a sphere of influence, and a lot of people understand that if you can get around that sphere of influence, he's virtually useless. Just because all his abilities have no cooldowns doesn't make him instantly awesome in that regard. A long-range team, a really spread-out team, gives Quark a ginormous pain in the ass to deal with, and if your own team doesn't like to stay in your own sphere of influence, your effectiveness is cut down in half, and you're forced to play catch-up most of the game. Outside of that, his healing his constant healing is actually the best among all supports, at least in my opinion. Pup. Now, Pup is funny because a lot of competitive players really don't like Pup, and a lot of Pug players love Pup. And there's a specific reason why. Pup is great at one thing and one thing only: assassination. And in a team compilation game where you only have 4 players on your team, that slot could probably be better used for somebody else that can bring more utility. Pup's skill set is all based around Pup and no one else. Maybe Woxie's, but really it's more beneficial for Pup to isolate a target than to peel off a target. It can be done, but that's just me. That's the reason why Pup is so enjoyed by a lot of people that aren't organized play, is because he's like Oz. If you play him correctly enough, you can succeed pretty damn well, but in organized play, you need to build a team around him, and that's counter to what Pup does. Pup doesn't really fit in a lot of teams very well at the moment. Next up, we have Rampart, and Rampart is going to fall into this area mostly because of his mobility issues. Yeah, he has his Impale, which will drag someone to him. Yeah, he has Unstoppable Force. Yeah, he has his ult. But really, they don't come up often enough. 3-turn cooldown for Fusion Lance, but you can easily block that or get out of line of sight for it. The Aegis Protocol is awesome if you can get enough ults off in the game. Unstoppable Force, while he does really get the unstoppable mod, or innate, his mods don't really back it up as well as it should. And he can get U-turned really quickly by someone like Gray, by someone like Quark, by someone like anyone else that has a quick dash that can just escape and peel away from him really quickly. That's where his biggest issue is that he's a zoning player. He's not a catch-up player. And right now the name of the game is catch up if you can. Next up is Juno. And I put Juno in here mostly because as a firepower character, most of this archetype relies on raw DPS. Juno doesn't have as much on-demand DPS, and her ultimate really puts her at an interesting spot in the DPS roster. She can put out some stupid damage, don't get me wrong. And she has some really cool CC in the form of off limits for its slow, and for lockdown with doing ridiculous damage if someone wants to jump around. It's really cool at locking down mobile targets. Oddly enough, her ultimate, Lay Down the Law, is the exact opposite. Instead of chasing him down, she just has a surprisingly long beam that renders her completely immobile for the entirety of it. And it's kind of weird. She can do really well in a lot of teams, but I feel like other freelancers in the firepower area kind of outclass her just barely at the moment. I have a feeling, though, Juno can jump up to high, if not instant tier, real quickly under the right circumstances and as the meta develops. Up next is Blackburn, and Blackburn's biggest thing is that he's a paper bag. Like, that's the biggest thing against him right now, is his Blitz. It's a 5-turn cooldown. It's pretty predictable, especially if it doesn't go very far. It's really kind of, it's almost as easy to predict as L, because he has to go to cover to be effective. Everything has to be reliant on cover, and you can shoot him off and shave angles to really hit Blackburn. Like his Proteus and Adrenal Stim doesn't really give him much survivability in that case, and he really survives in the backline, although his kit does tell him, you can mix it up in the middle somehow. He can get by a little bit, but to be honest, it's not going to keep you alive forever. Next up, we have Titus, and Titus, it falls a little bit into mobility just like Rampart. He does have his dash, he does have Berserker Charge that can be very useful. He just seems to be torn through quite easily. He can be taken out of a game pretty quickly. He actually, I feel, is worse off being U-turned than Rampart is. Rampart could get back in with his Aegis Protocol or with his Fusion Lance to drag the fight back to him. If Titus blows his Berserker Charge, it's really easy to punish him for it, and it's easy enough to leave him completely out of the game for a while. That said, though, his damage is pretty good. He's more of the raw DPS end of the frontline squad at the moment, at least the way he's supposed to work out. World Breaker or Death Blow is awesome. Dirty Fighting is one of my favorite abilities to use because it makes opponents have a false insecurity in how much damage you're going to take for a turn. And Thundering War can be really good in a melee heavy group, but he really does shine in a melee to short range heavy composition, not in a general all around setup that a lot of teams love to run with right now. Gray is next, and like I said, mid tier, they kind of can fall anywhere, and a lot of people will say, Gray should be insta pick. I think Gray's utility kind of is her like her downfall. I think she's good at playing sniper games, but other snipers do it better. She can slip away, but it's telegraphed to high hell. Her voltaic cage is quite easily dodged, and I mean, you just stay out of the range of the Hawk drone, and you're going to be fine for the majority of the time. That's kind of where I see Gray right now. She's super cool in the firepower sense that she doesn't have to be just a straight firepower. She can be more of a debuffer or a buffer with tranquilizing dart. She could be the person that makes sure that no other snipers get away. She's like a quasi sniper, but she kind of gets outshined by other characters just like her. Up next we have Celeste, and Celeste is not a traditional sniper character either. I mean, she's a firepower that relies more on hit and run tactics, and her little zones of influence with her trap, with her Proximo charge and smoke bombs, I don't believe they're as effective. Smoke bomb can help cordon off an area and funnel people in, but most people aren't really concerned, especially if they're very aware of the map around them. They can get around smoke bombs really easily. She's just like Pup and Oz in the sense that she can do really, really well in pug play, and she has her spots in competitive, but I believe that the other options available to teams are going to be taken over her. And next up in the mid tier, I put Elle. And the reason why I put Elle is that Elle is really great at countering and abusing a specific type of team comp, but is really weakened by another. So she's great at mid to short range engagements. If anyone's grouped up, if anyone wants to play a melee heavy comp, Elle's one of the best characters you want to have around to counter it. She has combat reflexes, which allows you to dash at least twice, if not 3 times, and punish anyone in range of it, and dodge most other dash abilities, or even some ults. She has her lurker drone, which is essentially another trap, but has a really, really big range. She has Oblivion Shell, which allows her to reposition herself in case she gets caught out again. And she has Plasma Volley, which is it adjusts just like Dr. Finn. The problem I say with her and long range engagements is I feel that she's much better she has much better utility in getting rid of clumps of enemies and abusing bad positioning, people that want to stick together. If people that are spread out, she can't catch as many in her abilities, and it's easy enough to dodge around something like Lurker Drone, or to not need to worry about combat reflexes when she just rolls. Okay, fine, I'll just walk away after this turn, and good luck with Oblivion Shell if I'm already on this side of the map. So that's where I kind of feel Elle fits in on the mid-rank tier. She's great against certain comps and really has to play catch up against others. Up next we have the high tier, or the high rank. These are guys that you're going to see quite often in most games, if not almost always in games. They're going to be either pick or banned as fast as they can be ranked when it comes out, and I can almost guarantee this. And they're going to be their kits are going to be useful. They're specialists in their area, and they can fit into a lot of teams really, really easily. And first off, in the high rank and the high tier is Nyx. Nyx is the epitome of the extreme sniper. He's got the best range in the game. He's got some ridiculously high damage. His fusion pulse can pull off some turnaround turns like nobody's business. Throw that in with like Reaper shells or something else. Overwatch drone is great at keeping people from getting too close to him. You can combo off the Overwatch drone really, really well. His vortex round can peel off everybody, and everything can be done at such a long, long range. His biggest drawback is that he has no real form of gap closer and or peel, self peel. You can stalker suit and go into disengage, but other characters, he doesn't need it. If you're getting that close to Nyx anyway, you're probably already dead, or Nyx is gonna die. Nyx is just being careless. And next up in the high tier is Asana, and the reason why Asana fits in firmly here is that she has just enough of everything to keep her being a constant nuisance, whether in pug play or organized play. She has just the right amount of kit to be the big time fighter and can be surprisingly tanky. She's not a traditional tank. She shouldn't really be played as such because she can blow up pretty well and pretty quickly if you decide you really, really want to get rid of her. She has a lot of utility, and unlike Rask, who I'll explain a little later on, Asana can play catch up really well with a lot of teams. She can chase people down with a lot more ease than a lot of people. Her biggest thing is, like I said, there's no real survivability. You have to rely on your own reflexes and your own predictability to get Asana to stay away and stay alive. Her Guardian Angel is really, really cool, but bad positioning can really punish Asana. She can get U-turned, and not as severely as, say, Rampart or Titus or Garrison, but it's going to set her back. And just like other short-range characters, other characters have difficulty with a specific a type character, like Gremlician's Inc. with long-range or short-range characters, or L with long-range. If she's put against a bad matchup, she has to work extra hard just to cover up the ground and maybe come out even. Up next is Suki. So one of the 2 poster childs for Atlas Reactor right now, technically 3 if you count Pup as well. Suki has some stupid AoE damage. She's got some of the greatest splash damage in the game right now. It's super fun to play her as well. Bombard is one of the best primaries with splash damage and direct damage. It's kind of ridiculous. Only really rivaled by someone like Lockwood. You know, Sticky Bomb, the big one, Sticky Bomb, the big one, and Missile Storm all have that 1 turn delay. Smart players will find some way to stack at least 1 to 2 of these things, pop Might or something, and although, yeah, it can be telegraphed, most likely your team's going to find some way to lock them down if they're competitive enough and organized enough, where you're just going to watch people be nearly one-shot by Suki. That's why she's so damn good. Her escape rocket jump is on a long cooldown, true, and it has to be at a certain minimum range, but that's probably one of the better repositioning tools in the game, even though other characters have something similar to her. That's why she's such a high tier. Orion is the next one on the list for high tier, and initially I wanted to put him at mid tier. And the first thought for someone like Orion is, well, I can't play him the way it's supposed to be played because he doesn't just straight up heal people. He's a crap character. No, not at all. So Orion's whole thing is protection and then turning himself into essentially a blood bag for the freelancer he chooses, or freelancers he chooses. Fate, Transfer, and Astral Fusion on a 3 and 4 turn cooldown respectively are, pretty average for characters like this in support. Fate Transfer is kind of nice, being, a personal like mini mine in case someone hits you. Especially, it's a great way to make melee think twice. But ultimately, it is Fate Transfer that really makes him shine. Fate Transfer takes 3/4 of the damage done to your target and directs it back to Orion. BS. Combo that with some healing ahead of time or running over a healing orb or something like that. Throw in even more shields from the shards he gets. The shard system, I think, is ultimately feels like superficial, to be quite honest. Because it feels like cosmetic instead of being, at 25% in each marker. It's just more of a visual aid than anything else. It's to just show him up being like ramping up. So he can be telegraphed, taking advantage of it in that way. If you realize he's sick in one character, he can get focused down in a heartbeat. But the reason why I put him into high is because of how much damage mitigation he brings to the table, and then his ult Cosmic Flare brings a good portion of that back to him. Aurora is next. Honestly, most of the supports are going to be from mid to high to instant tier. Like, there's just no doubt about it. Support, I believe, in this game, as it currently stands, is super important to most team compositions. Not having a support is pretty detrimental to most games, and unless you got a super high damage team comp that knows its positioning, more often than not, that support's going to turn a tide in some way, shape, or form, and that's Aurora. So, on first glance, she feels weak because she isn't doing as much per ability as other support characters. She's not a shielder, so she's not really in the same field as Helio and Dr. Finn. She's not a burst healer like Orion or damage mitigator like Orion. She's also not as obvious a healer as Quark, as in like, hey, there's the obvious heal. She's the long range snipe healer. She's the one that doesn't get around, and she helps mold the battlefield the way she wants to work. She's got her primary shock therapy has one of the longest ranges for heals as anyone else has. Ion Cloud can be turned into an extra heal, so you just plop it right on the ability, and now it damages and heals. You've got Healing Flare, which is great to keep long range and off of like frontliners' backs. Like if you have the Lockwood being cornered in, Healing Flare, knock that frontliner off the way and let him walk around. Let him walk away unscathed. Paralyzer is great for preempting some major damage coming in from other enemy teams. And the Great Heart of the Storm it's snipe heals. That and Shock Therapy are snipe heals, and that's where she lies. So she has no escape. That's her biggest drawback. But who needs an escape if your plan is to never be caught in the first place? That's where Aurora does really, really well. And if you're learning to play Aurora, that's something you should keep in mind. Unlike other characters who have some way of getting into the middle of the battle, that's Aurora. Don't bother. Just stay out to the ends and just beep, beep, beep. Just blink away. Well, technically, you're healing your friends with pain. That's really what it is. Dr. Finn, the Sturgeon General, also comes in at high tier, I believe. he's more in the middle of everybody, but that middle ground and the way his telegraphs work, and the fact that he can do something like revealing enemies, which is really helpful when you have stealthers in pugs like Pup, and you have competitive players like Nyx that show quite a bit. Being able to reveal somebody and get him out of the fog of war and easy to pinpoint is super, super effective, and Finn can do it. He, like I said, he's a jack of all trades, but the right mods can make him really, really threatening and really, really useful for a team. He shines better in close range engagements with his bubble, with his maelstrom, with his refreshing spray to like back up healers. He has enough range in it where he can heal from safely away, and its cooldowns aren't bad at all. Throw in a brain juice and he's got, you know, a 3-4 turn range where he just puts out ridiculous healing and or damage. And now for the instant tier, or the instant rank. The reason I call it instant, because most likely when you run into these characters in competitive play, or you're going to run into them in pugs, you're going to instantly realize, oh yeah, they're going to be in this game. There's a very, very high chance they're going to be in this game, or they'll be instant picked or instant banned. And this is the way I feel about it right now as we currently stand in Atlas Reactor, and the way I've been kind of paying attention to some of the pro games, the way they've been played and how they've been successful. And these belong, at least to these characters, like this is where they belong. So first off is Rask. Rask is the frontliner's frontliner. He's got surprising damage with the right mods. He's got ridiculous survivability with the right mods. He chooses where to fight. Unlike other characters that have to run up to the fight, like Asana, or or Garrison, or you know they have to hang back and protect the back line like Rampart. He doesn't give a crap where you are. He finds you, he locks you down, and he makes you pay heavily. And his ult will reset part of his kit automatically. There's a 3 to 4 turn gap where he can, you know, heal, dash, slash, ult, slash, any of the combination, and just lay on a butt ton of damage on his own without any help. That's ridiculous. That's the reason why he's an instant tier. It's the reason why you see him constantly in so many games. Is that under the right circumstances, he alone can handle half of a team. Next up is Helio, and Helio, his shields make all the difference in the game, especially with Battle Forge's ultimate. Some people put a little more extra damage on Echo Hammer. I believe he shines as a complete utility support. Weaken them and scramble them with Disruption Matrix. Pull them all in with Black Hole Generator. You know, shore up any weak defenses with Black Shield, and then hop Battle Forge on somebody like Rask or like Asana, and watch the carnage unfold. Like Aurora, he has no escape. Unlike Aurora, he has to be a little closer to battle, so his versatility with his shields and his fence, you know, can be put on him as well. It does really dampen his effectiveness. In fact, if you're playing against someone like Helio, I would definitely bum rush him. Just make him have to force all his abilities on himself and not be able to benefit from it as greatly as he could put it on somebody else. And finally, in the instant tier, I have Lockwood. Lockwood needs to be looked at, guys. Like, seriously. And he needs to be looked at pretty easily, and that's because of his kit. Trick Shot, bounces off the walls, hit at almost any angle you want. Light him up, a massive AoE that can be easily blocked. It's little, like, the least effective part of his kit, to be quite honest. It's still ridiculous. It does high damage. Trapwire, right positioning with this thing can like combo into some crazy kills and make people really think twice they want to engage onto or run away from Lockwood. He has to enforce, and he can enforce an engagement or force retreat solely based on a prep phase ability. Backup plan and run and gun are both escapes, one of which can ignore cover if you choose the correct modification for it, and they both are completely in dash phase. Like, this is ridiculous. With the right modifications, he has 3 escapes, an AoE, a trap that can be a free action, and a primary ability that can impale and do ridiculous damage. What the hell, Tryon? You give this on one character. Of course everyone's going to want to play him. It's also cool as hell. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my completely unbiased, my completely scientific, and my completely set in stone rank list of Atlas Reactor and its freelancers as they currently stand. Obviously, if you're going to disagree with me, and I really, really want to see who does, and not just be like, you're wrong, but comment on this wherever you find it. I really want to see the input on what other players who see these characters often enough as well, where do they stack up as you see them? And I can't believe you actually sat through this video. I mean, in a great way. Thank you for, going on with me. I really could go more in depth on some of these characters. I might even do a video on how to counter, but for now, what you really should do is, follow us on QueueTimes.com, Facebook.com/QueueTimes, YouTube.com/QueueTimes. You can find me on Twitter at AdRockDraws and on Twitch at AdRockDraws. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Peace.